because they're driven by a force that's stronger than campaign contributions. But it's tough, competing with all the moneyed interests against those that only can lead with their language. It's tough. So I have to tell you that it's an easy group to sort of walk past or drive past. And so I'm concerned about this. Now I can tell you that as this thing has gone on longer and longer, and I had to defend Medicaid expansion, which is what, every show I'm on, that's all they talk about. What about this? I'm beginning to see some of the rhetoric among my colleagues in the state houses begin to change a little bit. I don't know exactly why, but I kind of like that. A little bit more concern, a little bit more softness, a little fewer edges on. I like that. But I have to also tell you that we can't rest where we are. Now, I was just talking to Rich Nathan yesterday. He's a preacher who's got 10,000 people. I mean, I don't know how I asked him if he's giving gold away to get all those people in the church. But he told me he gave a sermon a couple weeks ago, which I have not yet received from Rich, written by the youngest full professor at Wharton School. Did you get it, Doug?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for forwarding it on to me, Doug. And this guy concludes this. This guy concludes this. They always say that nice guys finish last. The guy at Wharton is saying, that's wrong. Nice guys finish first. And that if you are a leader, and he was, I think, giving this sermon using that context to speak to his congregation out there, particularly aimed at business people, you don't, and Michael Novak, the great Catholic theologian, writes that businesses that are not underlaid by a set of values are bankrupt. I happen to subscribe to that. But what he was saying is, if we work together as a team to lift, we are going to end up being better and winners. And I said, well, Rich, it's not always true. Nice guys sometimes can finish dead last. But I kind of believe this is spring training. The real game starts later. And I don't mean here. But sometimes good people do finish first. Why am I telling you that? Because we have major problems in our social service network delivery system with people who worship turf. It keeps the resources from being delivered to the people that need to have those resources. And I've got to tell you, I'm a turf guy. I want to be a big shot. I want to be important. Maybe more than some other people. But I don't look at that as a plus. I look at that as a failing. That, what is wrong with me that I operate that way? So what I have to do is when I have to reflect back to this thing that Ronald Reagan had on his desk. And you know what it said? You cannot believe how much can be accomplished if no one worries about who gets the credit. That's what he had on his desk. And when we look back on him, we realize the softness for some that never saw it in him, that he was only interested in advancement and results. So part of the problem that I think we have in the social service safety net is, one, those that are delivering it are interested too much in maintaining power or control, which leads to a government operation that cheats the taxpayer. And maybe even more important, cheats the person who needs the help. This can't stand. And helping people who live in a difficult situation and allowing them to stay there is a rip-off to them and to their children. Now, I was involved in writing the welfare law back in, I don't remember what year we did, and I remember that process. I was a different guy back then, but the Cleveland Plain Dealer wrote a story about this the other day. I don't read that many of these stories, but I read it, and the rhetoric in those stories was very similar to the rhetoric I'm using today, thank goodness. But welfare then set a number of rules and procedures in place. And it ended the entitlement for a generation. It said that we need to, at some point, get on our own feet, and it prescribed a lot of rules as to how to get there. I think it was good law. People were saying that if we passed it, it would be a disaster. We passed it, Clinton signed it, and it was good, and people to this day will say, thank goodness somebody made me accept personal responsibility.